Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Republicans have been trying to cut or even eliminate public broadcasting in this country since its inception. In fact, as PBS itself reports, quote, every Republican administration, except Gerald Ford's, has tried to cut public media funding. All the way back in 1969, during the Nixon administration, Mr. Rogers himself was forced to head to Capitol Hill and defend funding for public broadcasting, which Congress wanted to reduce from $20 million to $10 million.
I'm very much concerned, as I know you are, about what's being delivered to our children in this country. I give an expression of care every day to each child to help him realize that he is unique. I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are. And I feel that if we in public television can only make it clear that feelings are mentionable and manageable, we will have done a great service for mental health. I think that it's much more dramatic that two men could be working out their feelings of anger. Much more dramatic than showing something of gunfire.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. Looks like you just earned the $20 million.
I mean, it's like out of a movie. Of course, the fight didn't end there. In 1994, when, of course, Republicans swept into power during the midterms, incoming Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich expressed his desire to eliminate the nonprofit that oversees public media. Quote, one of the things we're going to do this year, I hope, is to zero out the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which has been eating taxpayers' money. The George W. Bush administration tried unsuccessfully to gut public media multiple times, leading then Democratic Congressman Ed Markey of Massachusetts to lead a protest with Clifford the Big Red Dog in Washington.
Several of the characters from PBS children's programs turned out for a rally yesterday on Capitol Hill. PBS supporters claim the cuts will lead to the cancellation of popular children's shows such as Sesame Street.
Keep your hands off of PBS and NPR and the children's programming, which is so central to our nation's well-being. Keep your hands off.
Once again, Clifford the Big Red Dog survived. And so then during the 2012 election, it became something of a political scandal when Republican nominee Mitt Romney said this.
I'm sorry, Jim, I'm going to stop the subsidy to PBS. I'm going to stop other things. I like PBS. I love Big Bird. I actually like you, too. But I'm not going to keep on spending money on things to borrow money from China to pay for.
Now, it's hard to believe by the standards of today, this was seen as such a serious gaffe. The Obama campaign actually cut an attack ad over it.
Bernie Madoff, Ken Lay, Dennis Kozlowski, criminals, gluttons of greed, and the evil genius who towered over them. One man has the guts to speak his name.
Big Bird. Big Bird. Big Bird.
It's me, Big Bird.
Big, yellow, a menace to our economy. Mitt Romney knows it's not Wall Street you have to worry about. It's Sesame Street.
Now, that is a good ad, an effective ad. And it's an effective ad for a few reasons. It's funny. It sort of shows how ridiculous it is to obsess about Big Bird. But also, fundamentally, it's effective because it's popular. PBS is popular. People like Mr. Rogers, and they like Big Bird, and they like Sesame Street. Okay, so that brings us to now, right? Donald Trump is, once again, the most recent Republican president to try and gut public broadcasting. This time, specifically through an executive order. Now, public broadcasting is not going down without a fight. In a statement, they said, quote, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is not a federal executive agency subject to the president's authority. Congress directly authorized and funded CPB to be a private nonprofit corporation wholly independent of the federal government. And guess what? They're absolutely right. Trump cannot just defund PBS and NPR by signing something in a Sharpie, because that money is appropriated by Congress and the corporation is a separate independent entity. So you might be thinking, well, why doesn't Congress, which, remember, has Republican majorities in both houses, pass a bill to defund PBS? And here I'm pretty sure the answer is because they don't have the votes to do it. That is why Republicans have failed to defund PBS for half a century. it would be politically toxic to actually slash it legislatively. In fact, Trump's proposed budget, which is out today, which Republicans are already balking at, does include the elimination of the funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, as so many Republican budgets have before it. And yet, Trump turned around and signed this executive order last night anyway. And what does that say about the White House's confidence that it can pass the defunding through a Congress that it controls? And here we come to what might be the central story so far of this administration one way. It's a problem Republicans have had for a long time. You might call it the Sesame Street problem, okay? There are so many things Republicans want to destroy, defund, slash, and cut in the government that they can't because those things are popular. That is the context for what we have seen in the first 100 days. It is the reason that somewhat counterintuitively or paradoxically, Republican members of Congress who should want to protect their constitutional power of the purse, that's the biggest thing they have instead been so eager to let Donald Trump and Elon Musk slash and burn entire agencies and programs because it saves them from having to do the unpopular stuff directly. No votes. Put another way, it protects them from their own voters. Put another way, it protects them from democracy. Arguably, the most successful authoritarian move Trump has made in the first 100 days is to, in his unlawful actions, essentially rewrite the Constitution such that the president unilaterally gets to control spending, can eliminate or defund entire independent entities that were established by Congress itself and signed into law by previous presidents, from USAID to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to, yes, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Now, much of this has been slowed or stymied by the court so far. But what they're trying to do is overcome politics in a way that makes them not accountable to us. The Republican Congress is willing to let them because it allows them to slash spending, which they finally want to do on lots of these programs, without being the ones who have to take the political risky vote to say, end Alzheimer's research as we know it, which is a thing they're doing right now. That is how you end up with literal teenagers like this kid who worked on Elon Musk's project to gut the government, a kid with the internet nickname Big Balls, and other young men just like him, controlling all sorts of things like whether, for instance, a VA nurse has a job, or a park ranger has a job, or whether children with AIDS will get their medication that keeps them alive.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
Okay.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously, and they're pretty adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
You got to imagine how funny that is to the thousands of people, from those who work in nuclear safety to biomedical research to park rangers to, yes, in the VA, how funny they think Big Balls is, having been fired by him. I'm thinking maybe Big Balls did not grow up watching Sesame Street. Congress has been happy to have Elon Musk and Big Balls do this for them, despite the fact it is obviously, clearly, flagrantly unconstitutional and unlawful. Well, now we are entering an interesting period, you see, when members of Congress are going to have to actually start passing some bills around these cuts. Like, for instance, do you think Republican Mike Lawler of New York, who is in a 50-50 district, who really wants to be the governor of Blue State, do you think he's eager to be on the record voting to end cancer research or assistance for coal miners with black lung? You see, what Donald Trump is trying to do, and what I think the MAGA movement, the Republican Party, kind of wants, is to dissolve politics. So it's no longer an obstacle. So you're no longer accountable to people. And the only way to stop that, in addition to the courts, is for members of Congress who are going to have to vote for some of this agenda to really feel some pressure from their constituents that they would much rather ignore.